calling on all young male professionals. Do you wish to live an extraordinary life? Are you tired of the routine and mundane and long for a dynamic, adventurous, and even dangerous life? Do you wish to make your life count and hope to make an impact long after you're gone? Do you wish to live a life of service to society, to country, and to dear Mother Earth? Then you are the one we are looking for. Consider the Society of Jesus. Join the Church's gallant army and turn your world upside down. Call the Jesuits Vocations Promotions Team 426-6101, local 3406. Once again, 426-6101, local 3406.
Join Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle as he delivers to us the preachings of the Sunday's Gospel that's awe-inspiring, yet easy to understand and appreciate. Let us all listen to the Word of God here on The Word Exposed on Air, only on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Follow at Radyo Katipunan in our social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter.
JustCom Music Ministry, your daily dose of inspiration. Follow JustCom PH on Spotify and JustCom Music on YouTube. We are also on iTunes and Deezer.
You are listening to World College Radio Day.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Johnny.
Hi, I'm Guy.
And I'm Will. We're from the band Coldplay and we support College Radio Day.
Hey, this is Sean Lennon and I support College Radio.
Estás escuchando el Día Mundial de la Radio Universitaria.
Hey everybody, this is Grace Potter. Thank you for supporting World College Radio Day.
Salut, vous écoutez le jour mondial des radios universitaires.
Hi, this is Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and I support World College Radio Day.
Hi, I'm Alanis Morissette, and I support college radio. But I won't do your homework. Please don't ask me.
And I love college. This is World College Radio Day.
On the 2nd of October, student radios from all around the world will come together as one for World College Radio Day.
This year, more than ever, students from all around the world will unite for World College Radio Day.
This year's theme for World College Radio Day is Global Solidarity Rocks.
Have you ever wondered how our blue eaglets are formed by the Ateneo? How they learn to take their first step, run, and fly? Join Batang Atinista as Jerome Garcia, Jeff Velasco, and Jenny Salvania, otherwise known as the Team JJJ of the Ateneo Grade School, share with us how the Ateneo is starting them young. Batang Atinista. Only here at Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Are you feeling sore? We can make that better. Tune in to the Ateneo Senior High School's first radio program, SOAR, the Seniors On Air Radio, where you can listen to music you want, straight from our playlists. Don't change that channel yet, because SOAR is ready to put the you in youth. SOAR, Seniors On Air, here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Welcome to The Rundown, where we take you right into the action with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down!
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Force of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Atenista sa
loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng buwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero, sugod, todo sa kayod, dunong at tulog. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero, sugod, todo sa kayod, punong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting at tigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan.
Kwentuhang MVP on Radyo Katipunan 87.9. I'm Chrysales from 3ABEC.
And I am Dagny Yenko from 2BSCS DGDD.
And we are
Mentally in MVP!
Right.
To warm things up, Chris and I prepared a little game.
What could this game be?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, ganito yan. We have a set of questions and we each have to answer them as quickly as possible.
So from what I'm hearing, it's kind of a fast talk, no? You know, one thing about me is I love fast talk. So are you as excited as I am?
Of course. Here, I'll start. Give one word to describe how you're feeling right now.
Happy. What about you?
Thrilled.
That's great. Ako naman. What hobbies, in one word, have you taken up this quarantine? Or what hobby?
I've actually taken up Illustrator lately. Like, I finally got around to learning it. So, for the next question, actually, what about you?
Okay, me, I got into music.
Ooh, interesting. So, how many orgs have you joined?
Oh, I think I lost count. I think I joined at least 10 orgs this semester.
Wow! I joined like half of that, so just 5.
That's a lot. Within these orgs, what departments do you usually find yourself joining?
I would say I usually find myself in the communications, specifically creatives, because, as I've said, I got into Illustrator and I'm taking up that creatives role now. What about you?
That's great. Me, I usually find myself in sales and sponsorship. I mean, that's my name, Salas. So,
wow.
It's fun brand. So, with all this talk of joining orgs and applying for departments, I recall last week's episode delved deeper into the member formation of orgs this year.
Oh, that's right. Gia and Shan invited over some guests from Code, MEA, ACOM, and COA-M to talk about their methods, tips and contingencies, and adjustments for welcoming their members and keeping them engaged in this new online setting.
From that, you really notice that orgs have been pouring their efforts into welcoming students, both old and new, to accommodate them in this new online setup.
Oo nga! Parang nakailang GA at interview na ako this week and I have so much more scheduled next week. I really do be going PS org kahit na 14 units ako this quarter.
Yeah, ako rin. Online classes honestly have been pretty heavy in the past few weeks. But all of that feeling goes away. All that feeling of tiredness goes away whenever I hang out with all of my org mates on Discord or on wherever. So, sa lahat ng mga GC, ICs at anong pa mang sinalihan ko, I'm really enjoying the enthusiasm of all the orgs. Ramdam na ramdam ko pa rin ng org life sa Ateneo, especially since na-kickstart noong Rec Week. And speaking of Rec Week, it was like an online sale. And I just can't help myself from signing up.
Oo nga! Kunwari, 99 sales sa Shopee, add to cart ng add to cart, except most of them were free of charge. Since sinabi mo nga you joined 10 whopping orgs, looks like sinulit mo tong free admission.
I sure did. And as we know, Rec Week is organized by the COA-M. But speaking of COA-M, what does COA-M do and have they been up to anything else other than Rec Week?
Alam mo, that's a great question. Na-mention as a pilot episode, but to reiterate, COA-M, or the Council of Organizations of the Ateneo Manila, is the university's sole and autonomous confederation of all 56 accredited organizations. They serve to represent the student organizations and to work towards advancing and cultivating that vibrant org community in Ateneo that we really love.
So wow, that's a lot of orgs. I guess it's also important to note that all of those 56 orgs are divided into 9 clusters according to a particular niche and field.
Napaka-organized naman ng COA-M. Get it? Organized.
Din pala tong co-host ko eh. But speaking of organized, COA-M released their quarterly report just the other day. So to tell us more about what they've done over the past few months, let's give a warm welcome to our first guest of the day, the COA-M president herself, Patricia Aquino. Welcome to the show.
Hi everyone.
Hi,
guys.
Aki.
Thanks for having me here.
Introduce yourself to our lovely audience.
Hello sa mga nagla-livestream, mga viewers ngayon. I hope you're having a great Friday, the bag up onto the weekend, and I hope everyone's managing their deadlines well.
So, before getting on with our topic, we want to ask, how have you been? How was Rec Week? And how many orgs did you join aside from COA?
Okay. So lately, it's just a lot of delving into org work, of course, also managing my ACADs, just a lot of shifting through deadlines, just like the usual. Rec Week was definitely fun. It was really great seeing everyone getting so hyped. Kahit online, you can still really feel the hype of Rec Week. Parang nasa red brick. Ayun nga, parang mentally nasa red brick road tayo. And yeah, I guess lately we've been doing a lot of interviews, diba, sa COA, we've been processing a lot of applicants, and I'm really excited to see them on board. For myself naman, during Rec Week, besides COA-M, I actually recommitted to 3 of my orgs. So that's Maya, Edge, and AMS. So shout out to those orgs I recommitted to.
Wow, sounds like you've been very busy. But speaking of COA-M, what do you do in COA-M? What's it all about? What kinds of roles and tasks do you have there?
All right. So as president, I do a lot. It's definitely difficult to just pinpoint exactly what I do. But really, I just help oversee the council. We have a really big CD, and shout out to all my CD members. And again, I'm in charge of looking after the performance of the council. I'm one of the main touch points in talking to our constituents, whether that's the presidents, org officers, even org members. And I even have my own X team. So shout out also to my X team members if you're watching. So yeah, really, I do a lot. It's a really versatile job, and it's been great so far. It's been a ride.
That's great to hear. It seems like COA-M and you have been really busy recently. And speaking of busy, recently COA-M also released a quarterly report. But what is it exactly? Care to maybe share a brief summary of what it contains?
All right. So for this year, we're really pushing towards being a bit more transparent, especially now that we're all online. Information has to be a bit more out there, right? Especially for our constituents, and we have a lot. Imagine we're handling more than 56 orgs, and parang all the members times 56. So we really just owe it to them that everything we do in the council, they're aware of. So really, when we release our quarterly report and considering the whole quarter system, we wanted to make sure that everything we do, we at least let the people know, the org members know that this is what we've been up to. Even when it comes down to our budget when it gets approved, we want to make sure that we release information like that because we owe it to them.
Ayun, so that's what a quarterly report is. And we noticed that the quarterly report started with a description of the council thrust for the year. Pero ano nga ba yung thrust? Can you talk about what COA-M's thrust is for this year?
All right. So really a thrust, and I'm sure many other orgs, they usually follow a yearly thrust. So you have your core advocacies, your core competencies, maybe a battle cry you have as an org. A yearly thrust is really something that helps your org, I guess, put itself into the context for that year. And definitely for this year, we're in a completely different context. We're all online. A lot of things are happening. So for last year, for example, our thrust was celebrating passions, facilitating change, empowering the community. So for this year, COA-M's thrust naman for school year 2020-2021 is to go beyond service by transcending limits and uniting in excellence. So I'm sure a lot of people know whenever they see COA-M posts, it always ends with a hashtag always in service. So especially for this year, we're trying to think, how can we go beyond that? But at the same time, going beyond service, but still empowering the community as a whole. So that's our thrust for this year.
Well, that's great to hear. So coming from that thrust, can you run us through the salient points of the quarterly report?
Right, definitely. So just to go through it point by point na din, so firstly, the first things we were able to do was the formalization of the COA-M Commission on Organizational Strategies for Mental Health. So that's COSM-H. So shout out to C and Aldrin, the COSM-H directors if you're watching, and Isa, our COSM-H X team. So really, they were a mental health related task force last school year. This year, we chose to formalize them so that they can really connect with our constituents, really focus on rolling out all these mental health programs and policies that we have ready for the year. We had our core General Assembly and Town Hall. So core is the Council of Representatives, basically all of the org heads of the 56 orgs. And we were able to meet them for the first time and convene and talk about different org issues. we were able to release a council-wide statement on sexual harassment in educational institutions. And we hope this definitely isn't the last statement we release, no, because this year we really wanted, besides transparency, we really wanted to use our platform as a way to communicate our advocacies, not only for the COA Central Board, but then also for the orgs, because we represent them. We've been working a lot with Sangu and Lions for a lot of things, but the salient ones really are the different bills and resolutions we've passed through the Central Assembly, which is the legislative arm of the Sangu, and a lot of softball-related initiatives as well, with a lot of orgs starting to become more vocal, starting to get into that the softball awareness kind of realm. We've also had, internally, we've had our X-Team inter-session recruitment. So, ayan, you guys, alam ko nag-recommit kayo or nag-apply din kayo. So, we also had that. And right now, we have 80 members. So, with applications happening right now for our actual recruit wave, we're really excited to bring in the new X-Teams. In terms of the COA page, I'm sure you guys seen very active siya this year. We've released a lot of infographics that could help the students, and not just org members, no? We released yung One Big Perks, which is an infographic about all of the OBF email perks that you can get. So make sure to read on that kasi sayang, no? Sulitin naman natin yung OBF email. And we recently, just a few days ago, released an infographic as well on student academic rights. So we really hope people get to see that. We've also had COA Convention, which is where, again, we convene as org officers, org heads to also talk about, really flesh out the different concerns and issues that we see in the org, and hopefully create impactful solutions to them, and the assessment of those needs are actually ongoing. So shout out again, shout out again to all my ex-teams working on all of those. We've also had different workshops. So one of those is yung Start of Something New series held by yung VPPD and VPSP to help orgs in their interviews, applications, General Assemblies process. We've had a resource mobilization workshop, considering how a lot of orgs are, they have their own partner communities. How can we best send over relief packs or in terms of logistically moving things in a way na the orgs won't have to spend too much, or the orgs won't have to put too many resources out. We've had MS Teams workshop because a lot of orgs are looking towards exploring different avenues, different platforms for working online. And ayun, we've also had our survey on org membership, which really helps us look at what the context is exactly of the orgs, and especially just the ordinary org members right now. And a lot of our clusters have also had their own projects, their own campaigns online as well. So, for example, BC had their Play for JSEC project, SBC, PAC, MCA. Really, all of the clusters were able to put out and really support their organizations through their own online collateral. So, yeah, we've done a lot. Definitely, I haven't covered it all, but then those are really just the salient points that we could tell our org members and org constituents.
Ayun. So, honestly, I've also been looking through the COA-M page, no? Syempre, since I'm part of the org, mag-share ako ng mga posts and whatnot. Ang helpful talaga ng mga, yung One Big Perks, yung the MS Teams workshop, and all of those other things. So it looks like it was a really productive first quarter of the year. What else did they do, Chris? Did you pick up all of that?
I really like how COA is trying to stay connected, not only with the orgs, but also with the students. I like how we're trying to support everyone through initiatives and also socio-political matters. And that's really great, especially in the context of today's society. So, thank you for that, Patricia. What's something students should watch out for next?
All right. So definitely, the year is just starting. Recruit just ended, and we have a lot more initiatives and projects to roll out. Especially as a council that really has service of the heart, besides all of the planned projects we have, our main aim talaga is to be able to assess and proactively respond to the needs of our organization. So I guess other things that I can point out, no, definitely this year we'll have more avenues for discussion now that we're online. But sadly, we don't have an MVP to just drop by and talk to people about different org issues. So, for all of the org officers and even org members out there, abangan niyo yung mga student leaders roundtable, lahat ng mga kapihans namin, yung mga cluster kapihans as well. And definitely, I'm sure you're gonna learn a lot from those. From experience when I was in XT myself, COA kapihans are really like the way to go if you wanted to learn more about the org community. Definitely more transparency efforts. We're actually planning to launch a COA-M help desk, name pending. Maybe you can think of a more creative name. But one of the many ways that we can really reach out to not only the org presidents and officers, but really just the org members and even just students na hindi not members of orgs. No? For our online collaterals naman, we're gonna have our COA-M website soon. It's under development right now, as well as some rebranding. And I guess in terms of our externals, because besides working out our internals, transparency, externals is also something we want to tap into now that we're trying to build on those connections. No? So one of those is the inter-university core group. So we've been inviting more than 10 of the biggest universities in NCR. Hopefully we can expand more and create that community of organization councils, because actually it's not just an Ateneo na may COA. There's all of these big universities also have their own councils, and definitely in Buklod Atenista, so we also have our alliance of organization councils. So all of the Ateneo University campuses also have their own COAs. That's why we're called COA-M, because there are other COAs out there. And ayun, definitely a lot more initiatives in terms of our core competencies. So proactive service, representation, and transparency efforts as well. So abangan nyo na lang lahat ng mga council services namin, and we're sure to be announcing those as they come in.
Ayun, ang dami niyo pala talagang plano. Wow. So guys, rinig niyo yun? So if you're interested in any of those, don't forget to keep tabs on our COA-M Facebook page. Hindi ba this year lang yung COA-M? Before it was just COA.
Yeah. Only this year lang kami naging COA Manila. And ayun, because there are lots of other COAs. There's a parang COA for Xavier University. There's a COA na Denaga. Ang COA-M. Parang TEDx. May extension lang sa name.
Ayun, that's so cool. I feel like we're becoming more, how do you say this? Like more of a bigger community talaga. Definitely. So ayun, thank you so much for sharing, Aki. And
thank you so much.
Aki, thank you. We will see you again later, actually. But for now, we're going to move on to our next segment.
Alright, thanks guys.
Thank you, Aki. Ayun. How was that, guys? That was a lot of info. But before we move on, let's check in on our wonderful viewers. Hopefully, your ACADs are as productive as COA-M's report and all their plans, ano? But don't forget to take breaks. Urge your friends to tune in and watch us come to you loud and live from our homes via the Facebook page of Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM, Ateneo de Manila University, and of course, the Council of Organizations of the Ateneo Manila. You can also stream us via Radyo Katipunan's YouTube channel at Radyo Katipunan FM.
We are also coming in via audio streams at any Shoutcast online radio station around the world. Just search for Radyo Katipunan, or if you are within the 2-kilometer radius of the Ateneo de Manila campus, we are transmitting via the 87.9 frequency.
Wow, worldwide, no? Mr. Worldwide talaga tayo. And I think it'd be great to bring awareness to the entire world about another important event held last week. Anong event kasi to, Chris?
Yes, other than Rec Week, we also had a commemoration for the anniversary of the declaration of martial law. In response to this, the university held a week-long initiative to remember this time. So some student organizations actually also held events throughout the week.
Ooh, ano kayang ganaps ng mga orgs that time, ano? You know, our next topic will shed some light on that. And it also might be able to debunk this generalization that Ateneans live in their apolitical bubbles. But you know what? Our orgs are proudly taking a stand and expressing the principles they believe in.
That's true. Student activism is really important now that we're stuck on our online platforms and are hindered from taking the fight to the streets, whatever the fight may be. So these orgs are showing us that as our learning must go on, so should the call for justice when need be.
Ooh, exciting. So, to talk more about the different initiatives their orgs have had during the past week, as well as their regular responses to socio-political events, we'd like to welcome our guests, TJ Alcantara from Ateneo Student Catholic Action, Han Herrera from Baybayin Ateneo,
and last but not the least, JT Valiente from the Ateneo Economics Association. Welcome, guys!
Hello, hello!
Hello!
Hi!
Hi,
Would you guys like
everyone.
to introduce yourselves to our lovely audience? Say hi to your org mates!
Hello, Ayan.
What's up, Baybayin?
Hello, Atskans.
Ayun, would you like to say your name, your course, your position in your org? Let's start with Han.
Hey, I'm Han Herrera from Baybayin Ateneo. I'm VP for HR, and I'm from 3AB Com.
Amazing. Okay, what about you, JT?
Hello, everybody. I am JT Valiente, the president of the Ateneo Economics Association from 4AB Development Studies.
And TJ?
Hi guys, I am TJ Alcantara, the overall coordinator of Ateneo Student Catholic Action, and I am from 2AB Post MPN.
Alright, welcome guys. So, kumusta naman org akad? You guys bring any new orgs for Rec Week?
I'm sorry. I only joined one org basically, and I committed to Baybayin, like fully committed. Yeah.
Wow, that is true commitment right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
What about
Oh, sorry. I only joined one other org, which is my home org development society. And choosing, of course, to put all of my efforts in AL this year.
That's amazing. What about you, TJ?
For me naman, I have 7 orgs coming from first year. And right now, I technically recommitted to all of them. And I also joined one Lions org para I can experience also what those orgs can offer.
Yun, yeah. So even our unaccredited orgs have their own confederation, ano? So yeah, it's also great to be able to join some of their orgs as well. So how was Rec Week for your own orgs right now?
Sorry.
Go on.
Initially we were struggling to see if we should charge because, as you know, a lot of orgs took a financial hit this year because of the pandemic, and a lot of our fundraisers in the second semester were canceled. So we had to really look back and evaluate if we could afford to make admission free. But then we realized that since expenditures would be minimized this year, because nobody would really be renting any spaces, everybody is just doing everything from home. So we were like, okay, we can admit everybody and make the joining fee for free. And we thought that orgs anyway are to help people grow in their college life, and that's the ultimate goal. So.
That's true. I honestly feel like I've been more free to join org since maraming nag-free admission, ano?
Yeah.
So, what about you, Han?
Well, sa totoo lang, nung unang araw na tinignan namin yung Rec Week sign-up sheets, sobrang nakatutuwa kasi ang daming agad ng sign-up. And, ewan ko, parang kahit online setting tayo ngayon, talagang ramdam mo pa rin yung org life sa Ateneo.
I like how all these efforts online is like bringing us all closer more than before too. And yeah, I hope that continues. What about you, TJ?
For us naman in ATSCA, actually we did not expect a lot of members to join us because the tradition of our organization was really different in a sense that we're not the org that parang recruits a lot, but rather we want them to really go to us and to find in their hearts parang their own passions in social involvement and spiritual formation. Because I think, as we say here in ATSCA, it's really about parang choosing service, choosing pagtataya more than any other.
So I thank you so much for sharing that. Moving on is your org process. So tell us more about your org's advocacy and how it usually handles social political matters. So here's specific advocacy.
Oh, it's
Just
kind of choppy.
copy, sorry. So again, tell us more about your advocacy and how it usually handles social political matters. Maybe you can start with JP. Oh,
Sorry, I was muted. Well, the Ateneo Economics Association fosters economic consciousness with its members through academic support, leadership formation, and the participation in endeavors of socioeconomic development. So we really center ourselves around this thrust for development economics, which is an inclusive field of economics that aims to build inclusive economic growth. So I say inclusive a lot because that's really where the stress is, and that's where we have shifted our direction in our 60th year. When it comes to dealing with socio-political issues, we usually just do our research because as an org part of the analysis and discourse cluster, a lot of our output in our projects really is research heavy. So when we identify an issue that we see might be relevant to today or to modern society, we release a statement on it. But then our statements are usually centered on facts and data, not just taken from a political standpoint, because as much as possible, we want to contribute to the conversation more than raise any other kind of noise that we feel might be less productive.
Ayun, that's super relevant for Econ, ano? What about you, Han, in Baybayin?
Yeah, so Baybayin, in Baybayin, we always, and as much as we can, we aim to hone our members' appreciation of Filipino culture and gear their development towards cultural advocacy. We also want to promote cultural awareness, sensitivity. Like before this pandemic, we had these cultural immersions. We would call them cult trips. And lastly, we aim to recognize that the Filipino culture can be a way for us to encourage our members to engage in social issues. And in relation to that, in Baybayin, for us, the way that we handle socio-political issues is that it always starts with discourse. Like, it really is a new thing for us to have discussions about the things that are happening around us. Sometimes it's really casual. I remember the most recent SONA of the president, I think it was around July. I think our Discord channel was just blowing up, dude, with opinions, and you can really feel the fire from the other members. It's crazy. And it was comforting too, but sometimes it's also a sit down in a cold room with a long table in front of you kind of thing, where it's formal, because we see the importance of not only having a collective say on an issue, but also educating our other members too, because we recognize how there can be lapses in what we know about an issue. And since our org really aims for cultural education, awareness, and sensitivity, we start within so that what we put out there is vivid and sharp and geared towards our advocacies.
Yun, that's so nice, no? I also personally love discourse very much. Especially since you can see other people's perspectives and opinions on it. What about you, TJ?
Hello. So ATSCA naman, actually, we are an organization that tries to provide socio-spiritual formation, not only to our members, but even other communities. And it is through our responsive social action and social awareness programs and projects. So, to summarize what we do, it's really about faith that does justice. So, we really see that our faith, our spiritual aspect of our lives can really be anchored and can really be related to how we view our society nowadays. So when socio-political matters erupt, we try our best, as well as like with Baybayin and Eya, no, we try our best to really promote discourse and discussions. We really try to discern as much as possible the effects of these issues, not only to the bigger world, but even to ourselves. And in understanding or seeing that, we try to lay down what we can contribute to the discussion, what we can really promote also. So when all of these are happening right now, I think it is very reminiscent with how ATSCA started. If I can share lang nga, parang ATSCA started in 1973 and it's in the middle of the martial law period, no? So it was in a very extreme political climate back then. And I think right now we're seeing some kind of resurgence or re-emergence of that kind of political climate. So in whatever we do, we try to base it to our faith, and we will try to respond in the best way that we can.
Ayun. So what I'm getting, most of these orgs talaga are making the effort to educate others and themselves as well. I want to ask, what specific like platforms, initiatives do you have or efforts to trickle down these advocacies to your members? Who wants to start? Let's start with
JT, maybe? Yeah, same order.
Sure. All right. Sige. Well, a lot of our projects really do have to deal with response to national issues. So one of our major projects every year is called Kamalayan, wherein we invite speakers from speakers from some of the leading professions in economics to come to the Ateneo and speak about these issues. So for the previous years, we've had people from the DOF, now acting secretary of the NEDA, Carl Chua, speak about train law when it first erupted. And then we've also had former Chief Justice Herrera speak about federalism when that was being discussed in Congress. And it still is today. So that's one of our major initiatives that we have each year, and we still plan to continue that just through an online platform. And then this year, we started being more proactive with releasing statements. Of course, as the times call for it, especially with what happened earlier this year with the ABS-CBN shutdown, as well as, of course, the anti-terrorism bill, which had also gained a lot of traction online. And we wanted to be part of that and respond to it, but also being proactive in our engagement with our constituency, such as speaking about Pride Month when it earlier in June, and also initiating with last week's martial law talk. So we've been experimenting, especially now since everything is online, and still finding our roots in how exactly we want to approach our members. But we really landed on this idea of org room conversations and continuing that. So right now we're building a Discord server that's reminiscent of our MVP room, and they each have like tiny channels with specific functions like watching movies, study with me, pati inuman, just so that there's some kind of fellowship that we can continue to have. And it's been sort of a tradition for us in EA to just bring up random topics about society and just have, a general casual conversation about it. But we really believe that that's where the true discourse happens. And we want to continue that by promoting our culture within the org of a very homey, family kind of culture that accepts everyone from all types of backgrounds, regardless of your course. And yeah, this year we just want to continue that.
Ayun, patok na patok sa atin ang Discord ngayon, no?
Yeah.
Discourse on Discord.
For sure.
What about you, Han?
For Baybayin, we usually organize talks, seminars, and discussions, which we hope will deliver essential knowledge about Filipino culture. But because of the pandemic, we've had to find other ways when we can still promote cultural education. Like recently, we held this webinar in collaboration with the Kagawaran ng Filipino and OSA for this year's Buwan ng Wika, Kultura at Katisayan, wherein our theme was what do you call it? Ang papel ng wika sa panahon ng pandemya. For our cultural immersion, sadly though, our cult trips, we're still in lockdown, so we can't physically have our trips yet, but we are working on alternative ways where we can still go to places, but only virtually. And with the help of course, a well-versed guide to tell us about the stories, the people, and the culture of a certain place.
Yun, lastly, TJ?
Hello. For ATSCA naman, we start internally. So we have formation sessions about different subjects or different topics when it comes to socio-political matters. And then afterwards, or after we've shared our views, we then release statements. We also join online rallies. We try to give out our perspective as much as we can, which is all anchored towards human dignity, because everything that's happening right now, it really goes back to our human dignity, And this coming Sunday, we will be holding the State of the Marginalized address. So we are inviting the Lumad community for this episode to share about their plight and to share about their situation right now. So as much as we can, we really try to bring about awareness by partnering with other needed or other organizations or communities for them to really share their own experiences in hope that we can really promote and also invite others to take a stand, to speak up, and to also join the conversation, because that's what really is needed right now.
So from what I'm getting here is your orgs are very, very active in promoting discourse among its members, no? And that's really great, especially now. So given that your respective orgs held events this past week in line with the university's commemoration of Martial Law Week, can you tell us more about your org's respective events? You can start again with JT.
All right. So yes, 48 years since the declaration of martial law, and still we feel the effects of that dictatorship happening today, especially in terms of debt and the economy. So we tried to break down the myths of that time and the fake news that surrounds the economy of the martial law era. A lot of people refer to it as the golden age of the Philippine economy, but that's complete BS because it just wasn't. We actually invited speakers who were researchers during the time of martial law from the economics department, and they came to, of course, Zoom, and they talked about the different they basically brought their research to the video call, and they were breaking down each of the myths. So one of the major myths, the very famous myths, is that during the Marcos era, the peso and dollar were equal. But that's completely false. We broke that down. At the beginning of the Marcos era, $1 equated to 3.50 pesos and continued to depreciate to 20.53 at the end of his term. We also talked about the numerous economic crashes that had happened during his term. We talked about how the debt just inflated once he was ousted, of course. And we also talked about how much money the Marcoses pocketed in their 20-year reign. About 5 to 10 billion US dollars went straight to the pockets of the Marcoses. And I just need to remind you that today that value is equal to about 23 billion US dollars. they're richer than the richest people in the Philippines, if they still have that number. And during the Pinoy time, they created the Philippine Commission on Good Governance, which was centered on investigating and reclaiming what the Marcoses had stolen. But then within their about 10, 11, 12 year operation, they've only, I think, acquired about 100 million worth of Marcos, what the Marcoses stole. So still, that number is such a small number in comparison to what they had actually pocketed and continue to use today to proliferate their campaigns. And that's why we still see them in power. And that's something that I would encourage people to look into as they register for the 2022 elections.
Yun. I love that we're using like supporting facts talaga, no, to support our debunk these myths. So if you guys missed that, you can still watch it. Ayun, what about you guys, Han?
So for Baybayin naman, we chose to release a spoken word piece called Ngayon or Nagngangalit based on the schedule that Ateneo released for the university's Martial Law Week. Not only did the piece focus on the oppressive power that abused our country decades ago, but it also talked about current socio-political issues. Gaya na lang ng pamamaslang ng mga magsasaka sa Negros, ang tuluyang pagnanakaw ng lupain mula sa mga katutubo, yung pagpapasa ng anti-terror law, kaya nang nabanggit kanina, tsaka sukdulang marami pa talaga. Okay.
Yun. What about you guys, TJ?
For ATSCA naman, we told stories of church workers who were killed during the martial law era. So in a way, we're really retelling their stories. And by the end of the video, we post a question, we post a challenge to everyone. Tumugon ang mga Kristiyano noon, paano tayo tutugon ngayon? And that is a question that is really relevant nowadays, especially that we're facing not only the return of the Marcoses to power, but there are other tyrants right now which are really trying to also control our state, are controlling our democratic spaces, no? So, in a way, ATSCA really tries to go back to its roots because we're really proud to say that if you've heard of Edgar Hopson, he was also part of ATSCA before. He was an alumni of ATSCA, and he was the one who challenged Marcos. And during the martial law period, he also was kidnapped and found dead, no? So the thing here is, I remember also a quote from, I think it was attributed to Dr. Jojo Hofilenia. She said that teaching martial law right now, it is to impress upon the students that there are values which are not up to debate. And that's really important because, as what JT was saying also, there are other constructs or there are other narratives that are being fed to us, and that's not acceptable, no? Because no matter how they try to boast about infrastructure or some edifices, no, we really can't remove the fact that there were thousands killed, thousands tortured, thousands kidnapped and gone, diba? So how can we still say that the martial law era was a golden age if we're facing those kinds of human rights abuses and violations? So it really is a reflection for everyone that our history, it's still relevant until today because we're facing its impacts, not only today but even in our future.
Yun. Personally, I watched these events of yours, and personally, I felt something. May naramdaman talaga ako. How was the response from your audience? Let's start with JT.
So I think that because during the talks we had a lot to discuss, we sort of went over time. So there's only one question raised from our audience member, but In our own group chats, we were having these discussions as the conversations on Zoom were ongoing. And we were just appalled at the amount of atrocities the Marcoses had committed without even giving a second thought to it. And what scares me now is that they're still capable of doing the same thing today. And what people don't realize is they got so close to achieving that power in 2016 when Marcos almost won against Lenny. They tried it again the year after during the protest of the COMELEC ballots. They were doing it once they ousted CJ Sereno to put in their own justices in the Supreme Court. Once Conchita Carpio Morales was retired from the ombudsman position, they replaced it with somebody of their own. So they're slowly trying to creep their way back into power with the people who they align with politically. And for us, the call now is to look at the current roster of candidates who are looking or who are vying for power, especially in your local governments, and electing those who aren't part of this this mechanism that we see today as the Philippine political economy, but people from the outside who are looking to change it. And right now in AYA, those are the people who we are starting to align with, and these are the people who personally we're trying to groom, so that after they leave Ateneo, after they leave AYA, hopefully they can come back to the Philippines or stay in the Philippines and choose to serve, especially in the public sector. So that's primarily where our values lie as a team.
Han?
Okay, so the response that we got regarding it was and is our stance that what we put out there. So there was satisfaction in knowing that the people outside our organization now know exactly what you think and feel about martial law. And at the same time, the event was an avenue not only for orgs, but also for the individual members themselves to somehow calibrate or to check within themselves if they have been critical enough lately to see the striking similarities between the past and the present regimes. When it comes to the response that we got a few shares from people who are outside Ateneo, so it was nice. It was nice.
PJ?
Yeah, same as with with Han, sorry. We also had even our alumni in ATSCA to share our posts, to share our events, as well as the Student Catholic Action of the Philippines, because Ateneo, ATSCA, is part of the SCAP, which is a bigger community of different Student Catholic Action. So at some point, we're also happy with a growing traction also of these narratives, and it's important to continue these discussions, to continue shedding light, to these issues. And parang I'm happy right now that the Ateneo community is very vocal also, but of course at some point sad, because we really in a political climate wherein we are really expected to exert more and more. So parang hindi mo naman gugustuhin na mangyari yung nakaraan, but I think we're in a time when we are most needed, and we'll just continue our struggle. We'll just continue fighting for human rights, for human dignity. That's what we can do right now.
Yun, it's so good to see that we're making an effort talaga to take a stand, building our discourse, educating ourselves and others. We need to look back on history and say, reevaluate the perspectives that we have. So do you have anything else to say, Chris?
I want to say lang that in line with what everybody said, bringing back our outlook to history, we must not let injustices repeat itself. So probably the best thing to do is to take a stand ourselves along with these orgs and register to vote for 2022.
Ayun, so I'm inviting you guys rin to watch these events if you're interested. And so, thank you so much for sharing, guys. With that, our episode is almost over. But first, let's call back Aki to join us for our last segment.
Yes.
Hi.
So, hi, Aki. So, here in Kwentuhang MVP, we like to be nostalgic. So, let's take a trip down memory lane. And with this question, what do you miss the most about org life and the org community in Ateneo? Just answer briefly. It's okay. We can start with Aki.
All right. So I guess what I get that question asked a lot. Definitely, as like the COA president, I always ask what I love the most about org life. But I think something that I just hold so close to my heart is year on year I see orgs, they really live out their advocacies. I mean, we just talked about Aya, Atska, Baybayin, about their own advocacies. And imagine we have 56 here in COA and parang 20 plus, 30 plus in Lions, and maybe even other orgs that are registered or accredited. And it's just amazing seeing all of them come together, seeing members being so passionate. It's really just that overwhelming passion that I love so much about the org community.
Han?
Sa akin, simple lang. Yung pakiramdam na kapag kasama mo yung org mo, parang kasama mo na rin yung pamilya mo. Ayan.
TJ?
For me, it's really the energy. No, when you're with your organizations, you can really feel the fire. Yung parang super saya pag magkakasama kayo and you're all pursuing your passions, you're pursuing your talents, no? Yun yung nami-miss ko. But of course, we can continue that naman in an online setup. Pero yun nga, there's a different feeling pa rin.
And JT?
Yeah, I really resonate with what Aki said. It's that passion that you get surrounding yourself with like-minded people. I just want to comment one last time on an Atenean apathy as we end with this martial law discussion. I think it really was in 2016, my first year in college, when I saw how apathetic Ateneans could be living in our bubble. But it was also that year when Marcos was buried in the libingan ng mga bayani. And that was the first time I saw Ateneans really come together to take a stand on something political. And that was also personally my own political awakening. And I think that's the one thing I miss the most about org life in school and campus. It's being with people who, do have those same kind of passions, do have those same kind of advocacies, and are willing to take the next step to really forward these kinds of movements. And I just hope to see that continue, even as everybody works from home these days.
Ayun, those were all very influential insights, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. We hope that orgs that want to pursue the same were able to pick up a few things they themselves can implement. I know I'd be super excited to see more orgs take a stand. So, but before you guys leave, we just really want to say thank you. What about you, Chris?
Before we end, I want to give a shout out to my friends James Ewan, Rafael Rivera, John James Tabuco, and Gerard Alhibe for tuning in, and my other friends, and to everybody else, our lovely audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
and
guys.
What about you guys? Do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, thank you to all the AMs watching, and my mom and my auntie watching as well, and everybody for tuning in. I really hope that you picked up something and feel that fire to really stick to this sort of new advocacy, hopefully, that you might have gotten from this conversation.
Hello, yeah. Can I shout out?
Sure, go.
At Council, yeah. Ate Jo, Kenan, Piolo, Daniel, and Herms. And of course, to everyone, thank you for watching and never forget.
Ayun, tsaka, sorry, salamat ng walang hanggan sa Baybayin, tsaka kayan. Salamat.
Thank you so much, guys. And
with that,
I hope that you continue to take a stand. And with that, this week's episode. Go ahead.
Sorry. So, and with that, this week's episode of Kwentuhang MVP has come to a close. So thank you so much to our lovely viewers tuned in today. Thank you so much to our lovely guests. Thank you for sharing your insights. And please tune in to next week's episode of Kwentuhang MVP, only on Radyo Katipunan 87.9. This is Cristales.
And this is Dagny Yenko.
Mentally an MVP.
Signing off. Thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Guys.